good.
We stayed at Weston last year,
Yeah.
so Renaissance is
And we
about
stayed at a
halfway
Marriott
closer.
once too.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Renaissance is about halfway closer. There's still a shuttle, but it's within walk.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. It's 7 PM, September 21st, 2022. We're convening a regular meeting of the Board of Education in the Baumgartner Media Center. Mr. Muccio, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Prowse.
Here.
Mrs. Schukert.
Here.
Mrs. Etter.
Here.
Mr. Dobbins.
Here, 4 present, 1 absent. My understanding is Mr. Suchaki will be joining us shortly. On behalf of the board, I'd like to welcome all students, staff, parents, and interested community members to tonight's Board of Education meeting. The board values and encourages public comment on education issues. Anyone having an interest in the actions of the board may participate during the public comments portion of this meeting. Please identify yourself on the board sign-in sheet that I believe Mr. Young is shepherding. A copy of the board meeting agenda is available for review on our district's website. Please silence your cell phones during the meeting, and would you join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So may I have a motion to approve this evening's agenda?
So moved.
Ms. Schukert moves.
Second?
Ms. Etter seconds. Any discussion, any changes, Mr. Evans?
I would just ask if you refresh, because I moved the public comments after the presentations. We're going to do the staff spotlight presentations and then public comments.
Got it. Okay, very good. Thank you. So I have seen that the public comments are after the staff spotlight, so having noted that change, we can move to a vote then, please.
Mrs. Schukert.
Aye.
Mrs. Etter.
Aye.
Ms. Prowse.
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins.
Aye. The motion passes 4-0. Item number 3, staff spotlight. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Evans.
All right, Kelsey Mason, high school math teacher, has nominated middle school, high school cafeteria worker Mark Chase to be recognized in our staff spotlight for the month of September 2022. Mark is not with us this evening, but I will read the resolution and ask for the board's approval. Whereas the Cog Heights School District has been fortunate to have a dedicated staff committed to the mission of the district, and whereas Mark Chase is a valuable addition to our cafeteria staff, and whereas Mark Chase has assisted in providing new and tasty options in the lunchroom for both staff and students, and whereas Mark Chase was instrumental in obtaining Boar's Head Premium Deli meats to be served in the cafeteria, and whereas Mark Chase has also shared his homemade crouton recipe to complement our salads, and whereas Mark Chase's catering skills have added greatly to our food service department, and therefore be it resolved that the Cog Heights Board of Education congratulates Mark Chase, September 21, 2022, selection to the Cog Heights Schools Staff Spotlight.
Very good. So may I have a motion to approve this month's staff spotlight, please?
So moved.
Ms. Etter moves. I'll second. I don't think there's any further discussion.
Just, Mark is also president of the Alumni Association. I know he's coming off a pretty busy weekend. I think we had a 50th class reunion, and my sister's class was, what, 40-something, 30-something, I don't know. But there was two Evanses with class reunions this weekend, but down at Clement Gardens, and it was very well attended, so I know Mark's been busy this last month or so. And I'll make sure he gets this tomorrow, and we appropriately embarrass him in front of the middle school students at lunch tomorrow, so.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. If there's no other discussion, we can move to a vote, please.
Mrs. Etter.
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins.
Aye.
Ms. Prowse.
Aye.
Mrs. Schukert.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0, and congratulations to Mark Chase. And we appreciate everything he does for our district. Moving on to agenda item number 4, comments from the public. We have one individual who signed in, Ms. Havlin. Would you care to address the board, please?
Full eyes here, and I wrote it down, so we'll see. I would like to read it. We'll try without first. All right. Is this on?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, my name is Jean Havlin. Many of you may know me. I have a daughter who is in middle school. First, I want to acknowledge what a difficult job teachers, administrators, and the school board have trying to navigate all of the difficult situations with students and parents. I cannot imagine how challenging it is given the current cultural climate, and I do appreciate all of you, so I want to start there. In our culture today, there seems to be an overrepresentation, and in some cases, a bombardment of political messages on shows, movies, commercials directed at our kids. Unfortunately, this also infiltrates the school, and I wish we as a society would let kids be kids and leave them out of the adult political stuff. Tensions are high, and often people are afraid to speak up, and fear of being dismissed or shouted down is real. I don't fear that tonight, as I stand here as a respectful mama bear, but I wanted to share that towards the end of last year, and then again a couple of weeks ago, it has come to my attention, causing me to feel uncomfortable as it relates to my daughter at school. For example, recently I became aware of content that's in the online tool that the school uses for reading. I found some of the material to be controversial, inappropriate for my daughter, and too mature for a 12-year-old. I've discussed my concern with the teacher and Mr. Young, and I trust that we will find a solution for my daughter. That said, I've spoken with other parents, and they too are unaware of what's being available to their kids to read in this online tool. Parents don't know what we don't know, and often when we ask our kids what's going on at school, the typical answer is nothing. So I'd like to encourage the school to explore opportunities to increase the transparency to parents with regard to curriculum, content, or even crucial conversations that are controversial or politically charged in nature. I don't know necessarily what that looks like, but I know as a parent, being blindsided can create some confusion and distrust. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Havlin. If there are no other public comments this evening, I will move on to agenda item number 5, presentations. I'll turn it back over to Mr. Evans.
We've got a recognition of Luke Berzins as recipient of an Eagle Scout Award. I'm going to read the special board recognition, then I'm going to come down and talk to you a little bit, and I want to talk a little bit about Luke. On behalf of the Cuyahoga Heights Board of Education, you are to be commended on attaining the rank of Eagle Scout. We hope that all your effort and fervor that led to the special honor continue to inspire you as a young man in the years ahead. I will tell you one of the things that our community does best is, and I've never seen anything quite like it in my 12 years here as a principal and as a superintendent. This is probably somewhere between 15 and 20 Eagle Scouts. And to achieve the rank of Eagle Scout takes incredible determination, takes incredible grit. I've got to also thank my colleague, Mr. Muccio, who's also an Eagle Scout, because when I ran into a little bit of a brick wall trying to get things done for Luke, Luke went upstairs and Mr. Muccio facilitated helping get some of his project done. Luke redid our training room, recovered all of our equipment in the training room. They painted the training room. They added a new sink. It really got a first-class makeover all on Luke, and it was a great job. And I think we still want to put the mural on the wall down there. We ran out of time this summer, but Luke, on behalf of myself, the Board of Education, and the school district, congratulations. Sit tight. Come down. I'll come down there, Luke. We'll use the backdrop there.
If only could see him.
I got that fancy backdrop for.
My project was redoing the athletic trainer's room that I recovered, so all of the tables, so I made it so that our athletes could be properly cared for. So because our trainer does an amazing job, but that room was a little subpar, so I helped spruce it up a little. So I gave it a fresher coat of paint, so I made it look fancy. Yes, and that was my project. So I would have liked to thank the board for allowing me to do it, and for this recognition.
Thank you.
Luke kind of had a shift in the middle of this whole project, because in a perfect world, we wanted to buy new tables down there, and then when we priced out the cost of new tables, Mr. Evans got a little sticker shock. So then we talked to Luke, because Luke originally said we can recover them, I can do this, and as part of his original proposal, and I want to thank you for sticking to it. I want to thank Mr. Muccio for helping make that happen through the treasurer's office, and great job, Luke, and we want to put something up in some kind of placard up in that room recognizing the hard work that you put in that. And I know Tessa really is thankful for all the work you did too, so congratulations. Next.
Moving on to, agenda item 5B, Students of the Month, Mr. Evans.
And we'll start with Mr. Dtre, middle school, high school.
Thank you. All right. I'm going to start with our sixth grader, Student of the Month for September, Aaliyah Archaki. If you want to come forward. All right, so I want to introduce Aaliyah here. Her parents are Jennifer and Marty. She lives here in Brooklyn Heights. She lives with two stepsisters, one older and one younger. Her favorite subject here in school is math, but says she enjoys them all very much. Outside of school, she enjoys dance and playing soccer, and her most memorable school experience was in 4th grade during field day with Mrs. Curry. When asked if she could meet anyone famous, past or present, who would it be? She stated Albert Einstein. So today she was nominated, or for this month, she was nominated as the Student of the Month and selected based on a nomination by her 6th grade teachers, and here's what they wrote. Aaliyah is an exceptional young lady. Within only a few short weeks, she has already adjusted quite well to the middle school. Organization, class preparedness, homework completion, and new procedures have all proven to be a smooth transition for Aaliyah. One unique characteristic is that stands out in Aaliyah is her positive light. Aaliyah's positive attitude is so strong, she literally radiates positivity. A very special ability. She is well aware that will help her successfully conquer any challenges that she may face. Aaliyah consistently demonstrates impeccable behavior, consideration for others, and an appreciation for the opportunity to learn. She possesses a kind soul and an outstanding work ethic. These qualities, combined with her positive attitude, will prove to be an unstoppable force for years to come. We look forward to the many years of great things from this young lady in the future. Congratulations, Aaliyah. Another round of applause for Aaliyah. Next, from the 7th grade, Vea Pumphrey. Could you come forward, please? Vea's here parents are Corey and Reed. She lives in Brooklyn Heights. She has a younger brother, and her favorite subject in school is social studies and reading. She is a member of the middle school volleyball team and school choir. Outside of school, she plays on a travel soccer team, which keeps her very busy. Her most memorable school experience so far has been being a member on the school's volleyball team. When asked where she sees herself in 10 years, she said, hopefully a NICU nurse. High aspirations.
That's nice.
Vea was nominated by her team of teachers, and here's what they had to write. Vea Pumphrey has been motivated to start the 2022 school year. She has been involved in her classroom and has been a positive influence on her classmates and teachers. Vea is also a member of the girls' volleyball team, and she has a great personality, and her attitude and work ethic is contagious. Great start to the year, Vea. Stay motivated and keep up the good work. Let's give a round for the girls. For the 8th grade, the student of the month is Carissa Tritsarolis. Could you come forward, please? She wasn't certain if she could make it tonight, so I said, I'm still going to read on her behalf she was nominated for. Her parents are Debbie and Denise. She lives in Cuyahoga Heights, and she is the youngest in her family. Her favorite subjects in school are both science and social studies, and she is a member of the middle school choir. Her most memorable moment is sitting with her friends at the lunch table last year. She hopes to become a teacher, but lives somewhere else where it's nice and warm. When asked if she could meet anyone famous, past or present, who would it be? She quickly stated Taylor Swift.
Ah, there you go.
So her 8th grade teachers nominated her for September of the month, for Student of the Month of September, because the motivation Carissa displays when she comes to school every day is something to be admired. She is off to a great start this year, and we cannot wait to celebrate all of her accomplishments this year. We hope that she stays motivated, and we are very proud of her. A round of applause for Carissa. Ninth grade, Isaiah Lewis. All right, so Isaiah lives with his mother, Jessica, and he's accompanied here, I'm guessing, maybe by grandmother Roseanne. Okay? He is a resident of Cleveland, and although he has no pets of his own, he enjoys taking care of his grandmother's and uncle's dogs. His favorite subject in school is science, which makes sense because his favorite teacher is Mr. Patterson, his science teacher. Last year's 8th grade DC trip to Washington was his favorite experience, and outside of school, he enjoys listening to music and playing video games on his Xbox Series S. He is a self-proclaimed video game expert, and he challenges anyone to try and beat him. When asked where he sees himself in 10 years, he says, hopefully out of college, living at my own place, spending time with my family, and just having fun. He received several nominations from his teachers, and I'd like to read 2 of them. We'd like to nominate Isaiah Lors. He is a freshman in my Algebra 1A class, and he's an absolute rock star. He constantly participates in class, and he helps his classmates when they get stuck. He is always on task doing his work, and I am very impressed in his behavior and attitude so far. A separate teacher wrote, 100% Isaiah Lors. Isaiah is total driven and interested in his education and success. He builds up the people around him, and he has a great attitude and work ethic while at school. He deserves recognition for his character and spirit. And for that, Isaiah Lors, you are the Student of the Month for September. From the 10th grade, Mars Young. Could you please come forward? Mars's parents are Heather and Scott. Mars is a resident of Brooklyn Heights and has an older brother who also attends the high school. Mars shared with me that they have 2 dogs along with the older brother, 2 dogs, 4 cats, and a bird and a lizard
To the zoo.
that they take care of. Mars's favorite subject is art, particularly ceramics. Mars is an active member of the art club, Model UN, plays the trombone and baritone in the jazz band and the marching band, and Mars enjoys singing, and in the most memorable school experience was standing on stage at the end of last year's musical, The Sound of Music. 10 years from now, Mars hopes to be working as an architect. Mars was nominated by her group of teachers, and here's what they had to say. Mars is a fantastic person all around. They are an even-tempered, deep thinker, and they are passionate about things that matter. Even as a freshman last year, they were capable of engaging in meaningful discussion in which they were open to hearing and considering a variety of viewpoints. Compassion, confidence, intelligence, and dependability are all words that come into mind when I think of Mars. I can always depend on them to be the first person to volunteer to help with things around the classroom. They are constantly attentive to opportunities to help out and offer assistance before I even notice it's needed. Mars is a true member of the school community who cares about sustaining the healthiest environment possible for everyone. Congratulations, Mars. From the 11th grade, we'd like to honor Ricky Rock. Ricky's parents are Rick and Kelly. He is a resident of Valley View and has two older sisters who both graduated from Cuyahoga Heights. Ricky's favorite subject is art, particularly 2D art, which is focusing on drawing. He is a member of the choir and stated that school has been filled with many good times and experiences, not one that could stand out above the other. So he just said he's had an excellent time and a great time here at school for his whole time. When asked if he could meet someone famous, past or present, who would it be? He quickly said, Teddy Roosevelt. After school, he hopes to work with his dad doing landscaping. And here's what his teachers wrote in his nomination. Ricky this year has performed at a very high level so far. He has completed each assignment and has earned an A on every assessment this far. We look forward to more work and more effort to continue his success throughout the year. Congratulations, Ricky. All right. Our 12th grade student of the month for September is Jack Boning. Jack, would you come forward? Jack's parents are Jason and Christy. He is a resident of Valley View and has a younger sister who also attends the high school. His favorite subject is computer science. Jack is a member of the golf and the bowling teams, the Spanish and the yearbook club, and plays the cello for the chamber orchestra, electric orchestra, and our pit orchestra for the musicals. Two interesting facts I learned about Jack are that he claims to have perfect pitch. I'll take his word for that because I have no idea. And the other is that he is a competitive Rubik's Cube solver. I also am not going to challenge him on that. 10 years from now, Jack hopes to be working either in the computer science or music industry. And here's what Jack's nomination had to say. Jack will be a 4-year letter winner on the golf team. And this season, he has been the best so far. He finished top 10 at the CBC pre-conference golf tournament and has been one of the most outstanding, consistent, and best golfers so far. He has been a great senior leader to the younger golfers on the team as well, and really helpful in their progress, which speaks to the type of person he is. In the classroom, Jack has an impressive array of AP classes, including AP Government, English Literature, Calculus, and Physics. All of those were APs. Congratulations, Jack Bowman. Congratulations. Give us another round of applause for those who earned senior month in Middlesboro High School.
Now I'm going to sound like the old great aunt at the family reunion and say, "My babies are all grown up. And I remember you when you were this high." Like, it really is very, very fun to see everybody getting their recognition tonight, and I am not surprised by any of them. So tonight we have two elementary students who were nominated by our AMP team, that's Art, Music, and PE. And both of them are in 5th grade. So we're going to start with Callan Hensley. I had the opportunity to talk with Callan the other day, and he shared some information with me. He lives in the city of Bedford with his mom and dad, Kalina and Robert Hensley, and his brother James, who is 17. He has 2 cats named Wiley and Paolo. And then he said, well, it's really 2 turtles, but it's 1 tortoise and 1 turtle. So we need to discuss the difference. But 1 tortoise is Sasha, and the turtle's name is Scoots. I love that. His favorite subjects are math and science because he said, math just calms me down. And I said, that's the opposite of a lot of people, but that's fantastic. Math calms him down, and he said, we're a science family. So that's why he likes those classes. His favorite AMP or encore is music. And he said it's music because he's always had an interest in music. He's played the piano for 4 years. He is starting the violin. And he's been touch and go with the trumpet, just like blowing on the horn a little bit, and a little guitar on the side as well. Outside of school, he likes to play outside, play music, Minecraft, and baseball. I asked him if he had any idea what he wanted to do when he grows up, and he said, I really have no idea yet. I said, what if I made you choose? And he said, probably a scientist or musician. That makes total sense based on what you've told us. And then I asked him if he knew what college he might like to go to, and he said, probably MIT or something like that. I love it. To his parents, he wanted to say thank you for providing me with all of these wonderful things, and thank you for keeping me healthy. Here's what his teachers had to say. We have Mr. Bertoloni, Mrs. Orlando, and Mr. Huffman. When the AMP team thinks of a super student and all that exemplifies, they think Callan Hensley. From the moment Callan joined our school, he has been a joy to teach. Callan asks thoughtful questions about what he is learning, participates with a smile, does his best at all times, and treats everyone around him with kindness and respect. His teachers and classmates alike know that Callan is truly a star. Keep up the wonderful work. And Callan also is usually the first person to greet me in the morning because he is in his car when I pull in after they drop off the brother, and we say hi to each other in the morning. Congratulations, Callan, September Student of the Month. And last but not least, we have Chelsea Stives. Come on up, Chelsea. Chelsea is also in 5th grade and was nominated by our AMP team. She currently lives in the village of Garfield, or the city of Garfield Heights, with her mom, Michelle, dad, Robert, and then she has several siblings. Joshua Spears, who moved out. He's 27. Austin Stives, who's 20, Dylan Stives, who's 19, Nicole Stives, who's 17, and Kaylee Stives, who is 9. Ooh, Mom. All right. 3 dogs named Piper and Marshall. Those 2 are St. Bernards, so we had a little talk about those. And then Zoe is a mix of some sort, and then a cat named Daisy.
Her favorite subjects, she said reading, because when you're reading a book, it feels like you're going to a different world. I love that answer. And science, because everything is always changing, so things are not the same forever. And that's a really good point about science. Her favorite AMP or encore class is music, because the sound of music relaxes her. And she is just starting clarinet and viola now here at school. Outside of school, she loves ice skating and playing with her little sister. Very sweet. And when she grows up, she wants to be a fiction author. The college, most time elementary kids don't even know what college. They might say Ohio State or something, but we had MIT and NYU. I love these aspirations. Her message to her parents is, thank you for these opportunities. I love you. And her teachers said this about her. Chelsea is the bubbly, silly, thoughtful, hardworking, and creative student that AMP teachers love to have in class. Her excitement about every new lesson is totally infectious. Chelsea comes to class prepared to learn, is a great friend, and always has tons of new ideas to share with her classmates. She is a stellar role model, and we cannot wait to witness more of her awesomeness this school year. Way to go, Chelsea. And today is Chelsea's birthday. Congratulations, Chelsea.
Happy birthday.
Back over to you, Tom.
Okay, we normally take a short break here. Parents, if you want to get additional pictures taken. I want to take a moment to thank Jean for coming and speaking tonight. Jean talked to me last spring, and what I appreciate most is that Jean's approached her issue from a problem-solving approach. And she never came out and said, you have to fix this. She came and said, what can we do? So Jean, I appreciate the approach that you've taken with us, and we're going to continue to work on it, see what we can get done there. So thank you. We're going to take a short little break. If you want to take some additional pictures in front of the backdrop there, feel free, and then we'll get started with Mr. Muccio and the treasurer's report thereafter. Thank you. It looks like it. That's what I thought when she walked in. Yeah. That's right. Congratulations.
Thank you, Luke, so much for your. I don't think they can really hear. Yeah, I guess. Just ship him with his left hand. I think he knows it.
Number of items tonight for approval. First one, 6A, approval of minutes. Motion to approve the minutes of the September 7th, 2022 regular meeting as found in attachment T1. Item 7A, motion to accept the bank reconciliation financial reports and payments for board review as of August 31st, 2022, as prepared and certified by the treasurer as accurate as found in attachment T2. Item 7B, motion to approve new vendors to the school district per W-9s attached as found in attachment T3. Item 7C, motion to approve purchase orders over 5,000 as found in attachment T4. Item 7D, motion to approve the permanent appropriations for fiscal year 2023, modified from the temporary appropriations as found in attachment T5. Item 7E, motion to accept the attached list of donations received through September 13th, 2022 as found in attachment T6. Item 7F, motion to approve the following then and now certificate pursuant to section 5705.41 of the Ohio Revised Code. It is hereby certified that both at the time of the making of this contract or order and at the date of the execution of this certificate, the amount required to pay this contract or order has been appropriated for the purpose of this contract or order and is in the treasury or in process of collection to the credit of the fund, free from any previous encumbrance. And item 7G, motion to accept the funds associated with the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, fiscal 22 water bottle refilling station grant in the amount of $4,284.71. A new account 499-923A will be created entitled 2022 Water Bottle Refilling Station Grant, Ohio EPA. I ask for those items for approval tonight.
Very good. So may I have a motion to approve the treasurer's consent agenda items? Ms. Schukert moves.
Second.
Ms. Eder, was it Ms. Eder, second? Okay. Discussion, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch base on a few items. 7A, if we go to our financial statements, if we were to open item T2G, that's all other operating revenue. Just wanted to point out our interest, because we keep hearing in the news, interest rates are rising. So we collected in the month of August approximately $30,000 from Star, Ohio, and approximately $9,000 from Red Tree. Those are lines 6 and 7 on that spreadsheet. Last year, we collected approximately combined $14,000. So we're at approximately $39,000, $40,000 right now with rates increasing, and they're going to increase even more. So we have some of our highest cash balance since I've been here to date, forever, for the past however many years that we've been here too. So we're going to see more interest being collected, which is a great item for the school district. And we can see what was estimated at the beginning of the year when we did the 5-year forecast a number of months ago. $20,000 was input for Star, Ohio, so we've already beat that expectation. So we're going to significantly increase that as we go forward. So just wanted to point that item out. Item 7B, new vendors. We only have 3, nothing out of the ordinary. I'll just go through those quickly. We have Charles Keenan, DBA Rewire LLC for staff wellness, approximately $8,000 estimated. We have Dreambox Learning, reading software, $6,500 estimated. And Airgas, DBA Airgas USA, approximately $2,000 for various gas tanks that we have around, propane and CO2 that we have. Close out of here. Purchase orders over 5,000. We have about 5 of those. I'll go through them as we open that attachment, which is T4. First one for purchase orders over 5,000 is OSBA, board docs. We signed our original contract back in September of 2018, and it's a reoccurring charge that we have, so this is for the 2022-23 year. Enos Britton, this is in addition to our blanket PO, so that's $35,000. We have OP Aquatics, pool filters and equipment, $6,496 from the Permanent Improvement Fund. Number 4, we have HPS, this is for cafeteria freezers. We're purchasing 4 3-door freezers and 1 2-door freezer, and that's a total of $46,474.07. And number 5 is Johnson Dance and Gymnastics. That's for practice and meet rentals for the 2022-23 year at a cost of $6,000. And we have attachments for each of those items as we go. Item 7D, appropriations. We approved our temporary appropriations back in June for the fiscal year, and we have to have permanent appropriations on file with the Cuyahoga County Budget Commission. So we're modifying 3 funds, not the general fund, which is approximately 95% of our spending. The 3 funds that we are increasing would be Fund 499, which is an increase of $180,000 to pay for the 4 new school buses in fiscal '23. Fund 507, which is our CARES Act ESSER money, we're increasing $415,000. Now that's going to allow us to spend the approximate $40,000 remaining for ESSER 2, as well as approximately $375,000 to pay for ESSER 3 salaries and the elementary school HVAC project in fiscal '23. And then we have Fund 572, which is Title I, an increase of $814.29. And also a note, advance repayment is classified as an expenditure and therefore is factored in with appropriations. So we did advance back into the general fund items from those different special revenue accounts that we have. So that's why we see kind of a doubling up on appropriations, because when we advance out, that's classified as an expense on our books from accounting practice. So now we're cutting the check, so. Item 7E, donations received. We have 1 donation on that attachment. This is for Jillian Palumbo, and it's for craft-made white cabinet doors, approximately 19 shelves, approximately 20, and a box of 2x8 wood pieces donated to the CHS Woods class for use on projects. So we thank Jillian Palumbo for those items. Item 7F, then and now. These are 3 items that we have where the invoice came before the purchase order was approved. Board Docs, Dream Box, and STEPS Educational Group for a summer 2022 IEP for extended school year. And item 7G is a new grant that Mrs. Houchin had worked on. So we are approving the grant in the amount of $4,284.71. I don't know, Mrs. Houchin, if you want to talk on that.
We're thankful for the grant because we had already ordered we needed the water bottle filling stations, and actually, Mrs. Houch and I both applied at the same time, and they spread the money out so that everybody that applied got some stations, so we knew we needed more, and I want to thank Joy for following up on that.
And just to note, we are in fiscal '23, but on the letter that we received, the grant is titled 2022 Water Bottle Refilling Station Grant Award, so calendar year is why we're seeing that instead of fiscal year. Just want to make note of that. And those are the items I have for approval tonight. Is there any questions?
Okay, thank you. Is there any question or discussion? If not, we can move to a vote then.
Mrs. Schuker?
Aye.
Mrs. Etter?
Aye.
Ms. Prowse?
Aye.
Mr. Suchaki?
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins?
Aye, the motion passes 5-0. Item number 9, treasurer's discussion comments.
And just to add 2 items for discussion tonight. First one, the 5-year forecast. It's that time of year where we look to update our 5-year forecast. It must be submitted by November 30th of each year, and then again in May. So I have a rough timeline in place, wanted to see what everybody's thoughts were for this. So if at our November 2nd, 2022 work session, we have the review presentation of the 5-year forecast in its draft mode, and then come the November 16th regular board meeting, we would approve that 5-year forecast, so 2 weeks later. If that works for everybody, I'm seeing everybody nod, so, all right, good to go. Item 9B. This is our Health Cost Containment Committee meeting that we had, in which we discussed our VSP renewal for vision insurance. So I'll just read the public comments. So Friday, September 16th, 2022 at 2:45, there was a scheduled Health Cost Containment Committee meeting to discuss the renewal of vision insurance, which would be effective January 1st, 2023, regarding continuing with our current benefits or opting for enhanced benefits and a rate increase. If the committee were to decide to move ahead with recommending enhanced benefits or rate increases, that recommendation is given to both unions, who would then need to vote yes on the change, as well as the Board of Education. So in attendance at that meeting was Yelixa Rodriguez, myself, Ms. Prowse, Mr. Dobbins, Mr. Evans, Ms. Zink, and Mr. Robinson. And the consensus of the committee was to not recommend enhanced benefits rate increase and to just renew our vision insurance at the current benefits rates. So if we click on that attachment in the admin content, this will give some background context to that. So we can see about in the middle of that page that our vision insurance, which I'm not sure if everybody remembers, but I want to say about 2 years ago, in 2020, we switched from medical mutual vision to VSP vision, and our rates were less when we switched, and we got increased benefits for that. So that was something that both unions had wanted, and we made happen. Now, with this renewal, it automatically renews our vision insurance, and everybody's happy with VSP. But what they put on their renewal letter was an enhanced offering that we see at the bottom of the page. And I didn't want to make any decision in, like a box up there. So we have this committee in place, which is the perfect purpose to talk about any type of cost that's associated with health insurance. So the enhanced offering really only changes our current allowance. So right now, we allow 130 for frames and 130 for contact lenses, which is also an increase from what it was with medical mutual vision. Now, this enhanced offering is 200 for frames and 150 for lenses. Now, to make that allowance happen with this enhanced offering, the rates would go up from $8.88 for single to $11, and from $20.10 for family to $24.89. So when the committee discussed it, the consensus was everybody's happy with our current benefits that are in place, and there's no need to have enhanced offerings, which in turn have higher rates associated with it. So I just wanted to update everyone here. So we're good to go with that renewal going forward. And again, something I'm looking at is it's amazing that our rates are still staying the same, 888 and 2010. So they're less than what they were back in 2018. So single back in 2018 was 1371 and family was 2121. So our rates that we're getting for 2 more years that we're able to lock in, so from January 1st, 23 all the way through December of 24, are less than what they were in 18. And we get better benefits, so.
Don't tell anyone.
Don't tell anyone. Nope. And just last thing, Capital Conference. Everybody has in front of them their registration information. We are staying this year. I was joking at the Red Roof Inn, but it's not. We're staying at Renaissance this year. So everybody has their packet, and we're good to go. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We check in at Sunday, about, what time is that? Afternoon. And then we check out Tuesday. And we have shuttles. Last year, we stayed at the Westin, so Renaissance from the map is about halfway closer to the conference center. So, but they still have shuttles, just to, in case we don't walk, the weather's not as good.
Thank you for doing that. I know it's a pain.
It's exciting.
He told me now that Joy Clickinger's retired, he needs to call and find out how she got across the street
I'll figure it
every
out.
year.
I'll figure it out.
Lakewood does too, man. Talk to Ken.
She has some secret code or something.
You gotta be on the safe
And
side.
usually on the same level as the walking bridge. It was like,
Yeah.
I think they're holding that secret close to the vest until they're long gone, so too many people know it, but that's all I have. So
Thank you, Mr. Muccio.
Thank you for making these arrangements.
Moving on to agenda item number 10, Mr. Evans.
okay, 10A, motion to approve overnight travel for teams or athletes who qualify for regional and/or state championships, if applicable, for the 22-23 school year, contingent upon completion of the overnight trip form upon qualification of the athletes by the date specified on the playoff schedule. B, motion to authorize the superintendent or designee to sign contracts with OHSAA for the school district to be a home site for tournaments if selected, and to approve a school district administrative designee to hire workers for the OHSAA tournament activities when selected as a hosting school as needed throughout the 22-23 school year. C, motion to approve the resignation of one-year limited contract of Ahmed Garib, cleaner, effective September 13th, 2022. 11, motion to approve the attached supplemental position chat contract list as updated 9/21/2022 for the 22-23 school year, contingent upon successful completion of BCI FBI checks and proper certification if applicable. 12A, motion to approve Doug Amari to assist with test coordination for the 22-23 school year, paid at the daily substitute teacher rate, contingent upon successful completion, BCI FBI fingerprint checks and proper certification if applicable. B, motion to approve the attached substitute teacher list for 22-23 as updated for September 22 by the Educational Service Center of Northeast Ohio. C, motion to approve Kathy Dietzel as a substitute secretary from September 27th through September 30th, 2022. 13A, motion to approve Gordon Food Service Prime Vendor Agreement with Ohio Schools Council for utilizing the OSC contract for Gordon Food Service and participate in their 2% rebate program for the 22-23 school year. B, motion to approve the agreement with Dreambox Learning for Reading Plus license for 22-23 school year. C, motion to approve the 22-23 Cuyahoga School District's gifted identification services plan per the attachment. D, motion to approve one-year contract with Airgas effective October 1st, 2022, service related to transportation and the pool. And E, motion to accept the Educational Service Center Northeast Ohio Interdistrict Service Area Contract and Personnel Cost Analysis Sheet for the 22-23 school year. I ask for those items to be approved.
Yes, so may I have a motion to approve the superintendent's consent agenda items?
So moved.
Mr. Suchaki moves. I'll second. Any discussion, Mr. Evans?
Just the two OHSAA events, were oftentimes selected as a home site for first and I think even some second round games now as the tournaments go on, and also the overnight travel. Sometimes there's not a board meeting in between the time a student qualifies and the time we would have to make the rooming arrangements, so this gives us the ability to go in and do that. One of our cleaners is resigning. Supplemental positions are for a lot of the winter supplementals and some additional open supplementals that we had. Doug Amari is testing coordinator. Doug's kind of filling the role that Stan Durbin and Dick Seelong filled for many years here. It helps us with facilitate our state testing. The substitute teacher list from the ESC. Kathy Dietzel as a substitute secretary for the 27th to the 30th, if possible. We're still trying to work that out. One of our secretaries is going to be out due to one of their children having some surgery, so we're trying to make sure we fill some voids there. Prime vendor participation with Ohio Schools Council to work with Gordon Foods. Dreambox Learning for Reading Plus, that's actually a change in name. What was the previous name, Mr.? Yeah, what were they before Dreambox? Well, they just got bought by Dreambox. Yeah, they got bought by Dreambox, so we had to add them on. That's why it shows as a new vendor. That's actually not a new license for us. That's a license we've used in the past. The Gifted Identification Service Plan, Mr. Young informs me that that's pretty much as it was last year. There were maybe a few things taken out, nothing added to it from our previous gifted service plan. Airgas, we're switching from Praxair to Airgas. Praxair has been a little difficult to deal with sometimes. Their billing is difficult. Airgas is also, they're not local in the district, but they're local in the greater Cleveland area. And we use gas in our transportation department for welding and for CO2 tanks in the pool area. So we're flipping over, and thank Mrs. Martin for working with Mrs. Zabola on making that happen. And our Educational Service Center agreement with all those, the personnel costs. Remember, we brought the intervention specialists over. We still have aides and a lot of support help. I want to thank Mr. Young for having Mr. Gasky and Pam Sperling over this last week to go through that list, and Kathy Martin also. We went through and verified to make sure all those were correct as added. And just know that if we need to add aides, and I think we already do need to add aides, that we modify this as the year goes on. This is the initial agreement with them, so.
Perfect. Well, if there's no questions or any further discussion, we can move to a vote then.
Mr. Suchaki?
Aye.
Mr. Dobbin?
Aye.
Ms. Prowse?
Aye.
Mrs. Schuker?
Aye.
Mrs. Etter?
Aye.
The motion passes 5-0. Agenda item 15, Mr. Evans, comments?
Just a few updates. The October work session will be Mr. Young. He's going to talk to us about the new report card and some of our district testing, so we're going to give him the floor, and it'll be a new kind of spreadsheet for us. It won't be Mr. Muccio and his spreadsheet show. It'll be Mr. Young and his spreadsheet show. But trying to interpret the new STAR system and the report card. I think at a glance, our performance index puts us in the top 5% in the state of Ohio, which is consistent. And Mr. Young tells me that our performance index score was up as well, and he'll talk about some of those other, some of the other items that as that switches over. The air conditioning units for the elementary are still on schedule to be delivered in October. That's been pushed back twice. That work won't be done during school hours, that'll be either evening, or maybe we might even push that back to Christmas break, knowing that we're not gonna need any air conditioning now moving forward, although we could've used it today.
Yeah.
But, a couple other things, ODE, was at an ODE update last year, 2.7 billion revenue over the projected amount, that was even with a readjustment, part of the way through the year. The rainy day fund is maxed out, that's another 2.7 billion. And remember that, back during COVID, the ODE cut our funding by 5% for fear they're gonna have to use the rainy day fund, and they never touched it. So if they weren't gonna use the rainy day fund during COVID, I don't know when they're gonna use the rainy day fund. But the reason that came up in discussion is that the fair funding plan, if the legislature chooses to do so, could be fully funded. They won't do that. They'll still take it in steps, and the governor has said he's gonna include it in the budget. So the big question was whether or not he would include the fair funding plan moving forward, and he has said that he would. They told us that voucher expansion is going to happen. Again, that's another curious one, because the state's not even using all the vouchers that they allow for now, but we're gonna expand that program. Bill 583, sub-flexibility, which is, will go in effect on September 23rd, allows us to get some sub-certified, with a little bit easier. Dyslexia legislation has been delayed for a year. They're gonna continue to work on the guidebook. I know that Mr. Young's already implemented some of the things that are gonna show up in that dyslexia, legislation. House Bill 140, ballot language, remember that they kept putting that before the legislature until they approved it. That actually goes into effect next May, and that's gonna be appraised value versus taxable value, so that's gonna be that's gonna look different on the balance, so we're gonna have to figure out what that looks like, when we get to that. HB 621 is the transgender ban. The State Board of Education, if you're following the news at all, had a lengthy discussion about it yesterday, and I think it probably carried over into today. So I'm not sure where that's headed. Bill 492, mental health care training requirement for coaches. We already know that our coaches' training has gone from a simple, back in the days when I coached CPR and first aid, I think our coaches have to have 7 or 8 certifications now. They want to add one more to it. We're actually talking with the state on some way to streamline that and consolidate that, because quite frankly now, volunteer coaches, based on some of the training they have to take, may have to take upwards of $250, $300 in certifications just to volunteer to coach. So it makes it tougher and tougher for districts to find coaches.
Something you might want to consider, and you guys probably already have, but the youth mental health first aid for that, because we have certified people on staff. I don't know if that covers what
Yeah,
the
we'll
state's looking for, but I mean, that's a really good program that is cheap if we
Yeah.
have, and we have trainers from.
And they're not back in session right now, so all this stuff is kind of pending for when they come back here.
It's not a bad thing to do
No.
without the legislation.
No,
so we have to do
it's
it
not.
either.
We're doing with our staff, and if it was I think the goal is that the state consolidates some of the trainings, quite honestly. And so, you know, for whether they're paid or not paid, some of our coaches have to sit down 2 or 3 days to go through some of the training. That's, you know, some of it, and also to kind of sync up the timelines. Some of this training is good for 3 years, some is good for a year, some is good for 5 years. So they're looking for some kind of alignment just to make it a little more streamlined as we move forward. I don't know how much input the OHSAA is gonna have into that or not. HB 497, the third grade reading guarantee is still up. They're looking at no retention, allowing districts to test one time, and that's the district's determination on when they would do that test. HB 554, temporary license for expired holders. They're looking at retirees. They want to be able, so retirees that have let their licenses lapse, they want to be able to give them a one-time renewal to help out with the sub shortages right now. HB 529 is the transparency bill. That was about posting all the curriculum. The difficult part about that is that every book that's used in a class needs to be on the website. That may not sound like that big a deal in our social studies class, but in some of the elementary grades where they're reading 3 books a day or 5, to post every book that is read through it becomes pretty cumbersome. So we're gonna see where that shakes itself out in the end, along with the curriculums, and we've never had an issue with any of our teachers presenting curriculums as needed. They do a great job with study guides, and we're out in front of that stuff best we can, so. Those are just some items, on the horizon.
So, Mr. Evans, of the items that you covered through this ODE update, could you, I understand the ballot language is going to go into effect.
Yeah.
But everything that follows after that, HB 61 through 529, are those all proposed pieces of
A
legislation?
lot of them are through the House and not through the Senate yet.
Okay.
Some of them varying degrees of, some of them, they told us will be slam dunks, and some of them are gonna be battles, and I think right now, BASA, the superintendents, the treasurers organizations, the school OSBA are all kind of gathered together to try and pick their fights right now, because there's so many different pieces out there. They're trying to, determine what they want to have some input on and what they, what they're gonna stay hands-off on, so. Again, they're letting the voucher thing go because that's wasted time for them. They said that there's no question that with the current leadership in Columbus, the vouchers are gonna get expanded, especially with the surplus that the state's gonna have in revenue this year. There's no question that they're gonna, so that's not a battle that any of those organizations are looking to fight right now. They're just would rather spend more time fighting on getting some of the funding correct for the districts with the Fair School Funding Plan. And as Mr. Muccio are finding out that there's some glitches to that too as we move through it, so. There was a gentleman that, the former treasurer at Berea, I'd love to bring in sometime to have a discussion with him and possibly a work session. He really has an inside and outside knowledge of the Fair School funding, just to maybe possibly a work session to take 20 to 25 minutes to really break down for the board what that looks like and how some of those costs came about and, what it looks like moving forward, so.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. And the voucher expansion, is that the short handle is the backpack bill? Is that what that
No, the
refers to?
backpack bill's a little bit different, and they're gonna have a hard time with the backpack bill. That's one that will get fought, because the backpack bill says the money follows the student.
Right.
Well, that's all well and good. If a student leaves Cuyahoga Heights to go to Parma, then our $688 follows them. Parma doesn't get $688 per kid. Parma gets $7,200 per kid. So those numbers are different in every district. So it's very easy to say that the money follows the student. Well, what's the amount? What amount's gonna find? So if a student from Parma comes here, do we get the $7,200 that Parma would've got, or are we just gonna get our $628? So there's a lot of questions, that are up in the air on how that will turn that into kind of a little bit of a battle. And I just saw something, where it just came up yesterday on the ticker that somebody's pushing for universal open enrollment. Now, how that would ever happen is I don't know how you'd ever begin to do that, but some legislator just kind of mentioned that we really need to let any student go to any school they want to go to regardless of what the funding is or wherever it is. So I can't even imagine the mechanics of something like that, so.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or updates, Mr. Evans?
I'm good to go. Great night for middle school tonight. We did a little pep rally for them, and they had their own little, we had volleyball going, football going. I don't know the results were what we wanted, but it was nice to do all that and get to see the spirit going in the middle school. Great. I'm gonna post the homecoming video on the school website, and I'm gonna attach a link to it. Tom Talks. The homecoming group really did a great job of putting a video together, and it's really pretty entertaining, so I think people will get a kick out of that. I got my hats off to the kids and some of their technology skills, and some of the teachers are volunteering to be a part of that, so.
Was it disco, or what was it?
There was all kinds, each couple had a different theme, so there was country, disco, rap, all the different music genres that were each of the couples, and the kids, again, they did a great job with it, and homecoming last Friday night, or Saturday night, great night, about 300 kids, I think, were in attendance, lots of really good things going on right now.
Very good, thank you. Moving on to agenda item 16, I don't see anything under the board consent agenda item, so I'm going to move on to 17, board discussion. Any board members have any comments, the group this evening? Okay. I don't have any, so we'll move on to 18, possible agenda items. Are there any other items to being discussed or included in future items or meetings?
Can I just ask, I don't know that it goes under here, when do the OSBA topics come out?
I think they're on the website.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay. I like the little booklet
Yeah,
that
the-
usually comes to my.
The guide is hard to maneuver on
Yeah.
online.
Okay, I just wondered.
And I really
if
can't do it
that's-
on the phone. The format they use on the phone is really
No.
cumbersome. Yeah, I like the old booklet too. They stopped using the booklet,
I know, but I wanted.
yeah, a couple of years ago.
Okay, but it's out there, so I'll look. Thank
That,
you.
you're referring to the legislative platform, is that true?
No, just the
Sessions.
different sessions.
Sessions.
The different sessions.
Okay,
Come on,
the
Mark.
walking, excuse me, the walking guide, okay, gotcha, sorry. Okay, so if there are no other agenda items, we can move on to agenda information. It should be noted the Board of Education members received their agendas several days prior to the actual meeting, thus they've had considerable opportunity to study it, ask questions, et cetera. 19B, upcoming board meetings, October 5th, 2022 is a work session at 6 PM. October 19th, regular meeting at 7 PM, and November 2nd, 2022, a work session at 6 PM. And with that, unless there's any other matters of business, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Ms. Schukert moves,
Second.
Mr. Suchaki seconds. I don't hear any discussion, so let's move to a vote.
Mrs. Schukert?
Aye.
Mr. Suchaki?
Aye.
Ms. Prowse?
Aye.
Mrs. Etter?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye, the motion passes 5-0. It's 8:07 PM and we are adjourned. Thank you.